Lee Hughes has been found guilty of 2 counts of rape and 1 count of unaliving related to the death of her boyfriend's child, 4-year-old Nada-Jane Challita. Now, this is the verdict that I think we all wanted. Sentencing will be on the 26th of October. But for those who are not familiar with the story, I'm going to give you a recap. So Lee Hughes was Nada-Jane's preschool teacher, and in my opinion, she developed an unhealthy obsession with Nada-Jane's father, Lee Challita, and she started making moves. Instead of sliding into the DMs, right, she would write love letters, and she would put the love letters in Nada-Jane's bag, and Eli would receive them. And basically, I think he was flattered because, you know what, Lee Hughes was a very beautiful woman. She's still a very beautiful woman. She looks after herself. And I mean, she had this whole demeanor of being such a sweet preschool teacher. And I think he was flattered. He thought he won the lottery and he fell in love with her. And this was, by all accounts, a whirlwind romance. They moved in together quickly. But we know that this relationship, although passionate, it was marked by a series of turmoil, right? We know that Lee, she would get upset with Ellie. She would accuse him of infidelity. And I personally have not found any evidence of this, but we know that she would accuse him of infidelity. And then after that, she would throw his things and destroy his things, which is always a warning sign in a relationship when someone wants to destroy your things. And she would threaten to harm the child. But I think Ellie thought that these were all just threats because, I mean, Lee, she was a preschool teacher for a living. Her job was to look after children.
25-year-old preschool teacher Amber Hughes is facing 3 counts, 2 of rape and 1 of murdering 4-year-old Nada-Jane Challita. At the time, Hughes was the partner of the girl's father and had spent the day with the child on the day she drowned. The state cross-examined Hughes about her version of how Nada died in a bathtub.
When Nada was with me and before Nada left, there was no bruising on her face. I didn't notice any bruises on Nada.
Ms. Hughes, I want to put it to you that you drowned the deceased because you wanted to burn Mr. Challita.
No. Never.
You also raped her. You penetrated her.
No. I never hurt Nada.
The accused had allegedly threatened to kill both the girl and her father a few months before the 23rd of January 2023.
You have already made a threat that I'm going to kill you and your child. That's the threat you made, right?
Yes.
You said you didn't mean it, but
No,
you made
my
a threat
Yes.
to the baby's father.
It was 6 months before, my lord, yes.
At this stage, 4 state witnesses and the accused have been called to give evidence. The defense is expected to call 1 witness when the matter returns to court on the 28th of this month. Bafedile Moerani, Johannesburg.
And then we get to the fatal events on January the 23rd, 2023. So Ellie had gotten a new job offer in Polokwane. Him and Amber were currently based in Bedfordview, Johannesburg, and Ellie took the day to drive up on the 23rd of January. He wanted to go and look at the schools. He wanted to go look at houses, and he was basically busy the whole day doing life things. And we know that Lee was incredibly upset with him because this 25-year-old woman at the time, she was upset because when he left the house in the morning, he did not kiss her goodbye, right? So she decided that she was going to blow up his phone, accuse him of infidelity. And I can just imagine how stressed Ellie was because he was driving around in unfamiliar roads. He was meeting estate agents. He was trying to look at schools, and she was blowing up his phone, demanding his attention, which he just simply could not give him, right? And I guess when he didn't respond after a while, Lee sent him a message, and this was the last message he would receive from her, and it said, "You broke my heart. I'm going to burn your world." And I think Ellie immediately knew that something was wrong. You know when you get that feeling in your gut, when your heart almost just drops because you know something terrible is about to happen. And I think he knew that because he sent his friend over to the house to check on his child. Now, when the friend arrived in the house, he would pass Amber Lee in the lounge, and she had allegedly tried to unalive herself by cutting her wrists, and she was in the lounge, she was full of blood, and he walked into the bathroom and he saw a terrorizing sight. It was 4-year-old Nada-Jane. She was floating in a tub full of water, face down, and she was not responding. And what he did is that he picked her up and he ran out the house. He got her to the sidewalk. The ambulance came. They took her to hospital, but it was too late. Too much time had passed, and she was declared dead on arrival. But perhaps the most disturbing part of this is that when the pathologist did the autopsy, he found evidence of grape. And not just one sort of assault, 2 or 3 or more, multiple grapes occurred on that child. Now you're going to ask me in the comments how a female can do that. Well, you know, a female can use an object. I'm sorry, this is just what the world that we live in, on a 4-year-old child. Now, Ellie immediately pointed the finger at Amber Lee and said, you know what, she did this to my child. And basically, police arrested her immediately. And then Amber realized, like, hey, listen, I got to come up with a story. So her story now was that, you know, we see this often in cases where the perpetrators like to blame the victims. Well, her story was that she was on the phone with Ellie, she was fighting, and Nada came up to her and said, hey, listen, I want to bath my plushie. Can you run me a bath? So Emily did that. And then she was walking around with the phone, sort of keeping an eye on Nada-Jane. And then she says that she fell over a dog. I mean, okay, I can get behind that. It happens to me all the time in my house, right? But then she fell over a dog and then she landed in some glass, because I guess she had to explain the wounds on her arms. And then she says when she went into the bathtub, then she saw that Nada-Jane was not with us anymore. And then she phoned her father. This is going to be something common in this theme. It's every time she seems to get into trouble, she sort of phones her father, calls daddy to come and get her out of it. And then when she was confronted on the grape charges, right, she said that the gardener did it, right? I mean, this is a man who is working hard for a living, and you're coming here and you're blaming him. Even Ellie said, the father, that the gardener wasn't even there that day and he didn't have access to the house. So Amber Lee tried to blame the gardener. This woman is just pure, unadulterated evil, in my opinion. But her story is disputed, right, by the science in this case, the pathologist. The pathologist noted bruises at the back of her head here, of Nada-Jane's head. And those are kind of like the bruises one would get if you are being held down, right, in a bathtub while you are struggling. And we know that Nada-Jane, she's 4 years old. 4-year-olds can often sit in a bathtub. They can often swim. I'm not saying drowning in bathtubs for 4-year-olds does not happen. I'm just saying it's very unlikely on an accidental basis. Now, we know that at the end of the lengthy trial, Amber Lee has come out and she has said, with a statement read by her attorney, that she admitted to the unaliving charge due to diminished mental capacity due to her bipolar disorder. And I put it to you that millions of people around the world have bipolar disorder. I know a few people who have it. And you know what? They don't go around unaliving their ex or their current boyfriend's children just because, you know, they're experiencing jealousy. That is just not an excuse.
It's been 2 years now since the self-confessed killer, Lee Hughes, has been appearing in court for the murder and rape of the little girl, Nada-Jane Challita. Nada-Jane Challita was found in a body of water in the East Rand apartment where Lee Hughes and her ex-partner were sharing. In a shocking yet short appearance last month in July, Amber had confessed to murdering the child by sitting on her in a bathtub of cold water. Today, the Johannesburg High Court was hearing the final arguments by both the state and defense. Hughes' lawyers maintain that it was not a premeditated murder. Meanwhile, the state says that it was indeed, as they were text messages that have proven so.
Is premeditation the only inference that the court can make on the proof phase? And remember, there is no onus on the accused. The state carries the onus throughout. She made it to do the admissions. She admitted to killing the child. That is indeed so. But still, it's the state's duty to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there was premeditation involved.
If one looks at Exhibit F, why on earth would Mr. Chalita's tone of concern suddenly change so much that he's so concerned about his daughter? Don't do something stupid, Amber. Don't hurt baby. Don't do this. Are you and baby okay? Are you two fine? You're making things worse. Why on earth would he have sent those messages if she did not utter that threat? And my lord, that is my submission. It's my submission that that serves as corroboration for the credibility of Mr. Challita that the accused made that threat. And it's my submission that if the court finds that the accused made that threat, the court must find that there was premeditation.
The defense added that Hughes did not rape the child. Judgment is expected to be handed down by the Johannesburg High Court on the 28th of August. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And the judge has seen through it because the judge today on the 28th of August 2025 has convicted her of unaliving and 2 counts of rape. Those charges, those 2 counts of rape that she didn't want to admit to, she has been convicted on.
In which the accused has now admitted drowning the deceased, it is no longer necessary to summarize all the evidence laid in this trial pertaining to the question whether the child drowned accidentally or not. Suffice to refer to some crucial evidence like the one testified to by Mr. Fala, whose evidence inter alia indicated that the accused told him that she had drowned the deceased. The accused's latest admissions in terms of Exhibit I is an admission that she drowned the deceased by sitting on top of her, and further that the drowning caused the deceased's death. The accused's belated admission is incongruent with the scientific and medical evidence in terms of Exhibit E, concomitant with the testimony of Dr. Van Staden. The said admissions meet all the elements of murder. According to Exhibit E, which is the admitted post-mortem report, the cause of death was that it has features of drowning and evidence of sexual assault as described by Dr. Van Staden. Tribal issues. Notwithstanding the admission that the accused had drowned the deceased, the accused persists with her denial that she had raped the deceased, and as alleged in the indictment in respect of count 1 and 2. In the circumstances, the tribal issues are perspicuously before this court is whether the accused had raped the deceased as alleged in the indictment pertaining to count 1 and 2. In respect of count 3 of murder, the tribal issue is whether the murder was premeditated or planned, which attracts the prescribed life imprisonment. Evidence in respect of the 2 counts of rape. In order to adjudicate the 2 counts of rape, it is necessary to consider the post-mortem report concomitant with the evidence of Dr. Van Staden.
Now, sentencing will be on the 26th of October. Comment below what you think the correct sentence should be. Do you think that this woman should ever be allowed to see the light of day?
We welcome the court's ruling as the NPA. It has been a long journey for us. We've been in this journey since 2023 together with the family. Now that we have reached this point, we hope that they find solace in the fact that the court has now found Lee Hughes guilty of the count of rape as well as that of premeditated murders, which are charges that both attracts the minimum prescribed sentence of life imprisonment. So we hope that the father will also find closure now that we've reached the stage, and going forward as the NPA we will be arguing for a sentence that will send a message that this type of behavior cannot be tolerated.
I'm not the real victim in here. As much as I am the victim in here, I'm not the real victim in here. The real and initial victim in here is my child that was a human with a name and a character on her own, and she was tortured to death and she was raped.
What does this moment mean for you and your family?
One step on a step ladder after I fell from the top of it. I was on the top of the step ladder. I fell all the way from top to the down on my head. I lost my child. I lost my entire life. And today I'm taking the first step on that same step ladder again, just looking forward. From today I can say, I can think of looking forward.
Now, there is perhaps a small silver lining that has come out of this case, and that is with Nada-Jane's parents. So we know Lee Challita and Nada-Jane's mother, Amy Johnston, have gotten back together after this tragic event. And we know that, they are trying to move on with their lives. And when asked about the sentence outside of court today, Ellie had a few words, and he said, obviously, I'm the parent of the child. The justice I seek does not exist in this world or in this lifetime. So let's just take a moment to think about this child. This child, Nada-Jane, who liked to go fishing, who was the apple of her father's eye, who loved, her father with all her heart. Let's just think about her. She was robbed of a future. She was robbed. And let's just say that we want to see justice in sentencing. Justice for Nada-Jane. Now, if you like my content, please consider giving me a like and a follow, and I will be covering more cases like this.